I survived 100 days in hardcore modded Minecraft Bedrock Edition. In these 100 days, I used the mod REALISMCRAFT, which is Minecraft Bedrock's best marketplace add-on. This add-on completely changes the way the game looks, but it keeps it similar to the vanilla game. It adds a ton of new structures to both the overworld and the nether, and it also adds custom loot for these structures, which includes OP loot like diamond tools and notch apples. In these 100 days, I'll also attempt to fight the Bedrock Wither and Ender Dragon, which are Minecraft's hardest bosses. I'll also attempt to try to find every new structure, including this piglin battleship, which looks crazy. Some new mobs have also been added, including nether creepers, soulfire blazes, which I gotta say look sick, and new animations for vanilla mobs like wither skeletons. And look at this nightmare horse. There's also fresh new animations for things like the end portal, and I gotta say they really cooked with this one. The Ender Dragon animations have also been completely revamped, and so has the area surrounding the end. I'll make sure to experience this entire mod pack to its fullest in these 100 days. So join me, and make sure to hit the subscribe button and drop a like down below. Anyway, let's begin our journey. REALISMCRAFT hardcore world by first loading up a REALISMCRAFT template. It just means that the world I'm creating has the REALISMCRAFT mod installed. I also turn my game to hardcore and create my world. I spawn in a savannah, and I realize I have a REALISMCRAFT VFX settings and a book in my hotbar. I never end up looking at the book, but I also realize I spawned right next to a ruined portal. I first head up to this tree to get some early wood. Once I get the starting wood, I make a wooden pickaxe, mine 3 stone, and make a stone pickaxe. With my new stone pickaxe, I start mining a ton of cobblestone. After I'm done, I build my way back up, and then I start making my stone tools. I craft a sword, an axe, and yeah, that's... And then kill the sheep and start getting more wood from this huge tree. Then I head over to this ruined portal, which has a Zoglin guarding it. It's pretty cool to see these mobs because you never see them in survival Minecraft. Inside the chest there's some golden tools, a chest plate, and a golden apple. I wear the chest plate and realize the sword has fire aspect and looting, which can be super helpful to gather some food. I leave the ruined portal and spot a village nearby, so I head over there. In the village I grab a bed, 2 pieces of bread from a chest, and also grab some of the wheat from the farm. I then make a hoe and then start getting some of the hay bales lying around. I also loot another chest which has some apples and potatoes. There's some more potatoes in the village farm. I make sure to grab those up. I don't take the beetroots cause, well, they suck. I craft all my hay bales into wheat, and then my wheat... In Bedrock Edition, you run out of hunger really quickly. I also grab some more wood from the nearby forest, and I managed to get that through a couple trees before it becomes nighttime. I then place down my bed, and while waiting, I admire the new sunset. After sleeping through the night, I realize it's day 1, and I have a lot of things to do. I start by chopping down some trees. I want the wood because I want to protect my village by making fences. And the easiest way to do that is by getting a bunch of wood and making them. I want to protect the village because I want to get enchanted books later on, and I don't want my villagers to die before then. So, I kill the skeleton, and he drops a bow for me, which once you chop down a tree in REALISMCRAFT, the leaves disintegrate, and it's super satisfying in my opinion. I go into the stonecutter's house and start clearing everything away, because this is going to be my new base for the next 95 or so days. I craft up a bunch of fences, and I also get some more wood from this village farm. And I start placing down all the fences I just crafted. I make it through a decent chunk of the village, but I had to start getting more wood. I start chopping down some more trees and some of these fallen logs. After that, I end up making almost 3.5 stacks. And I start placing them down. By the end of the day, I'm done, and I earned myself a good night of sleep. I then go through all of my chests and I organize everything, and I craft a couple of furnaces so I can smelt my items. I make the smart decision to use saplings for my fuel source, because I don't have coal yet. I then go outside and start hunting animals with my looting fire aspect gold sword. Once I'm done, I head back and take a good night of sleep. I then head down into the small little cave to see what's going on, and I don't see much, honestly. But in a smaller cave nearby, I find a bunch of coal, which I quickly mine up. I make about a stack and a little bit more of torches, and while exploring I find this weirdly generated pillager outpost thing. And there's iron golems sitting around, which means it's free iron time. I take down 2 iron golems and make a memorial nearby. I also craft up a new iron pickaxe, a shield, and a bucket with my new iron. While exploring, I find another acacia village, and I quickly raid it. Find a couple of emeralds in a chest, which I use to buy an iron axe from the weaponsmith. While I continue exploring, and I find some ruins nearby. In it, there's some cobwebs which I clear out, as well as a chest and a monster spawner which isn't activated. I clear it out and start looking around for more loot. But there isn't much nearby, so I start looting. I get a couple pieces of iron and a Protection 3 book, which is super good. I also get a couple of name tags and some apples and wheat and a music disc. I then take a nap, ending day 5 and starting day 6. On day 6, I find another one of these ruins and quickly loot it. Inside the chest, I find some more iron and some bread, as well as a couple pieces of gold and some apples. I decide not to take the melon seeds because I won't need them. And head back home and organize all my chests. I make a fresh new bow, some iron leggings, and an iron helmet. I then head outside and find this weirdo. Head out exploring again, and I head over to the ruined portal I saw when I first spawned in. I now have the means to grab the gold block, so I quickly do so. I come across this huge lake which I jump in, and I swim across it and realize that there's some like particles and stuff in the water which makes it look really cool. The swimming animation is also really nice. I explore and find a village where I sleep for the night. In the village, I start looting, but this time there's an iron golem, which means, you know it, free iron. I also grab a couple of chests which have some pretty bad loot in them. The hay bales are always nice. I leave the village and find another ruin which has some gold, as well as a notch apple. Just crazy. Day 7 notch apples goes hard, guys. There's an efficiency 2 book, but who cares? That notch apple's in my inventory forever, bro. I also find this like camp looking thing, and it has nothing good except an anvil inside. The loot is pretty horrible. There's like one potato in a chest. So, yeah. I quickly dispatch some of the llamas that there are, and I get some leads and some leather. In the next ruin I find there's a well in the middle, and I hop in. And there's a chest at the bottom, so I look in it and there's nothing useful. I find another ruin with another well in the middle. And in the chest at the top, there isn't much except a couple pieces of gold and some apples and a saddle. I then continue on my journey and I find another lake. But this time it looks truly amazing. Even the squids are retextured. And there's so many little particles and bubbles and like the god rays, like the sun going through the water. It looks so cool. Nearby, there's also a jungle, which I quickly head over to and see that there's a lot of plant life, and it looks pretty nice. I find a bunch of flowers and bushes and stuff, and I gather a couple of the weird flowers. This one's called Nepenthes. I also come across a Venus flytrap which doesn't do anything, but most importantly, there's a creeper that almost got the better of me. But we're lucky he didn't. I also grab this big flower thingy, and I throw out some bones to make space for it. I also decided to get a donkey so that I can hold more stuff and explore faster. I used some of my wheat to try to tame it, and it works. I put a saddle on it, grab my axe back, and start heading home. Once I'm back home, I tie up my donkey and start organizing all my stuff. I also plant down some of the exotic jungle flowers I gathered. I also plant down some of the sugarcane I've gathered, and I end up making a nice little farm with it. When I come back, I see my donkey dancing, and I decide to join it. Anyways, I spend the rest of the day lighting up the village because I don't want any hostile mobs to spawn. On day 9, I gather up some flint in the nearby lake. I use the flint to make a couple of fletching tables and place them near my house. I originally make 3, but I decide to replace one of them with a stone cutter. I trade a couple pieces of clay for an emerald, and I start mining down a couple of trees so that I can get wood to trade to the Fletchers. In the middle, I take a nap, and it turns out the next day there's some rain. And I decide to keep working despite it, and it turns out to be a bad idea, as you'll soon see. While I'm chopping down this tree, a creeper surprise attacks me, and thankfully to my quick actions I survive. But that scares me off because it was like midnight, and I did not want to be dealing with jump scares at that time of night. So I quickly ran back to my house. Locked off the door, and then I logged off for the night. Once I logged back in, I started trading with this Fletcher dude. I then resumed my woodcutting journey and chopped down a couple more trees and fallen logs. Once I got back, I made sure to light up the surrounding area. I then went out to my local lake and started gathering up some clay. By the end of it, I got a couple stacks and I traded it to the mason. I then traded some of my hard-earned emeralds for a couple of arrows. And I made a couple more stone cutters because I figured that instead of mining wood, I could get a bunch of clay faster. And I set out to do so the next day. Because my stone shovel was almost broken, I made a new iron one and started mining more clay. At the end of the day, I stopped by on this small little island, and I put my bed down and had a good night of sleep. I then sell all of my clay to the masons. I end up getting almost 48 emeralds from my clay trip. I then make some books and make a bookshelf, and then I make a lectern with it. I want to start trading with the other villagers now, and so I make a librarian and trap him, and I start breaking and placing the lecterns again so I can reset his trades. I'm looking for protection for, or mending, or something like that, and eventually I get mending for 14 emeralds. I lock in the trade and make another lectern and repeat the process. This time, however, I decide to trade for Fortune 2. So I gather 2 books, my emeralds, and trade for 2 Fortune books, which I combine into a Fortune 3 book and put on my iron pickaxe. I also decide to put mending on it as well. I then head out to look for more ores or coal or something to mine with my... I look through this forest trying to look for some caves, but not many caves generated in it, so I leave empty-handed. But in it, or rather should I say next to it, there is a stony beach which has a ton of coal. Once I'm done gathering up all the coal, I end up with 28 blocks. I head to this nearby jungle and start gathering some sugarcane along its banks. Eventually, the jungle river leads out into the ocean, and in it I find 2 pirate ships. I head on one of them and I destroy the spawners and knock the pillager into the ocean. I try to find some of the pillagers I hear running around, but it turns out they're in the bottom deck, and they start coming up towards me. I beat up one of them and I find the captain, who has an enchanted crossbow, but I quickly take care of him. The remaining 2 pillagers are doing a lot of damage to me, so I block up. I try to get at the spawner, but I end up mining onto a chest which has an piece of iron and some bottles of enchanting. A pillager shoots through the 1 block gap at the window, so I block it up. I try to get the spawner once again, and this time I'm successful. A pillager also lands on the chains, so I quickly dispatch him. In the chest, I find 4 pieces of uncooked iron. I decide that it's not worth it getting the loot here, so I escape. While I'm traveling, I see a mesa in the desert, and I decide to go onshore. There's a lot of particles blowing around in the desert. It's super annoying. I start gathering a ton of sugarcane along this river, and I end up getting so much by the end of this trip. I find a sand version of the ruins, and inside one of the chests there's a piece of redstone, which may not look like much, but it's how I turn off these particles, because you can make the VFX settings with a piece of redstone and some dirt. Inside the chest at the bottom of the well, there is some really bad loot. I turned off the sandstorms in the desert, and it improves some of the particles that are blowing around, but doesn't help by much. I gather some more sugar cane, and I find this desert village, which has a ton of hay bales lying around, so you know what that means. I finally figure out what setting I need to turn off to get those annoying particles to go away. And now I can loot the desert, and it's the next day I find a ruined portal, which has protection for unbreaking 3 leggings, which are better than my plain iron ones. There's also a pillager outpost right next to it, so I head over. The pillagers start bodying me as soon as they get there, so I block up. I block up all the windows and light up the inside. I don't want to get shot at by the pillagers outside, so I do take some precautions. I head up to the top of the outpost where the captain is. I quickly take him out, and he drops an ominous bottle. Inside the chest, there's not much except a couple of logs, which I make into more crafting tables. I want to escape, but my frames are super bad, so I try to relog. Once I relog, it does fix it, at least a little bit, so I decide to escape. I place down some water, take a leap of faith, and run. But these pillagers do not give up. They have such a long range of detection. I continue gathering some more sugarcane, and I find a desert temple. Creeper comes inside to welcome me, but I quickly take care of him. And mine into the center, and thankfully I don't blow up. Inside the chest I find a Feather Falling 3 book, which is super useful, as well as some iron, and a couple of low-level enchant books. I dig back out, and I take a nap. The next morning I head out and decide to leave the desert and head back home. I reach home and take a nap, and then start organizing all my chests. I start smelting some of the iron, and then I trade some clay to my masons. I then make another lectern, and then try to breed some of my villagers, and it works almost immediately. I'm not looking, guys. couple seconds later, there's this dude walking around. I head over to this river to collect more clay, and while I'm doing so, some drowned attack me. One of them has a trident, and he almost kills me, because I also start drowning at the exact same time he attacks me. I had to use a golden apple, but what happens next makes it worth it. I try to use my bow so that he can't throw his trident at me. And I take him out pretty easily. And for me, he drops the trident, which is one of the hardest weapons in Minecraft to find behind the maze. I'm super happy at having a trident this early, and another trident drowned appears in front of me. But this time, he doesn't drop one. I continue gathering clay, and I head back home after I'm done. I trade some clay and make some iron boots and a chest plate. I then trade for a mending book, which I put on my trident. I use some XP from trading to villagers to repair it, and I start mining some wood. After gathering wood to my house and grab some clay so that I can trade it to villagers and get some XP to repair my trident. I end up getting it pretty much all the way repaired, which is nice. I then make a stack of torches and decide to head down into the caves. I hate mining without full protection 4 and at least a couple stacks of torches. Because on Bedrock Edition you can barely see anything without torches, you can't put anything in your offhand, and the mobs are everywhere. Caving has to be one of the most annoying things in Bedrock Edition. But luckily I have a Fortune 3 pick, which makes things a lot easier. While going through some of the deeper deep slate caves, I find a mob spawner. Once I take care of the zombie there, I start looting the chests, which have a couple pieces of coal and nothing much other than the saddle. I never end up coming back to it, but it's nice to know that I have one just in case. I also find my first diamond, and while mining, I find my second vein of diamonds, and a third one, which turns out to be a 4 ring. I decide to go back up now that I collected a decent amount of diamonds, and I'm greeted by a drowned with a nautilus shell. Once I'm inside my house, I start smelting up all the iron and gold I gathered, and I make a diamond pickaxe. I then head over to my nearby lava pool and get some obsidian from my nether portal and enchant table. I head back home and start some trading with another librarian. This time I'm looking for one enchant in particular, Protection 4, I want to head into the Nether, and that book is gonna make things so much easier for me, because the Nether on Bedrock Edition, especially on hardcore, is going to be super hard. Once I come outside, I find a rainbow awaiting me, and it's really nice the developers of REALISMCRAFT thought about such small things like this. I repair my gold sword and I head out to gather some leather. I make a couple of books and an enchant table. I make all of my books into bookshelves and end up with 15, which I place around my enchant table. I now have a level 30 enchant setup, but I don't even have 30 levels, which is kind of sad. I start going back to villager trading again, trying to see if I can get protection 4. And I roll past like a ton of different enchantments like Silk Touch and Fire Aspect. I thought that the REALISMCRAFT developers might have taken out protection 4 from the villager trades, but I decided to settle for Silk Touch in the end. I head out and collect some more food from animals. And with the leather I got, I made another lectern and started trading again. I get efficiency 5 for 29 emeralds, but that's not good enough for me. So I get an efficiency 2 iron axe and start re-rolling the trades. I get efficiency 5 again, but this time for 18 emeralds, which is a pretty good deal in my opinion. I put efficiency 5 and Silk Touch on my pickaxe, and I head down to get some stone because I want to trade it for emeralds. This turns out to be a really bad idea because you barely get any emeralds for the amount of stone you mine. And this may look pretty fast to you, but that's because it's a time lapse. And here I start grabbing andesite because for 16 andesite you get an emerald, and for 20 stone you get an emerald, so andesite's a better option. I head back up and it's night, so I quickly sleep. The sleeping animation that they newly added for Bedrock Edition is pretty great in my opinion. The next day there's a zombie attack on my village, which is exactly why I had these walls. I use my bow to quickly take them out. And then I trade all of my stone. And then I once again head back into the mine, starting the grueling process once again. Some wheat and some bread so that I can breed some more villagers. And then also enchant my armor, and I get protection 2 on my helmet and chest plate. And I don't enchant my boots because I don't have enough levels, which means going back and trading stone once again. I'm able to enchant my boots with feather falling 3, which I think is good, but then I make diamond boots, and I put protection 3 and feather falling 3 on them, which makes the point of enchanting those iron boots stupid. I then make a diamond sword, which I don't use for the next 20 days. because I have a trident which does more damage than an unenchanted diamond sword. I make some paper and trade it for 2 emeralds, and then I head back into the forest to collect some wood. I start chopping down this giant oak tree, and it takes me almost a full day to do so. I use the wood I got to trade to the Fletcher. I then clear an area and make my nether portal. I also make a flint and steel and organize my inventory to get myself ready to enter that nether. I light up the portal and I head inside. My nether spawn turns out to be pretty bad. I'm in a soul sand valley surrounded by 50 skeletons and a bunch of random mobs who I can't tell. I make a quick safety bunker around my nether portal and plop down a couple of chests, and I start strip mining, looking for an open air section that isn't Soul Sand Valley. But while I'm mining, I do something stupid. I break my Fortune 3 pickaxe. So I head back up and into the overworld. It's nighttime when I get back, so I take a quick nap. And I make a brand new iron pickaxe and trade for mending, and I put efficiency 5 on it as well this time. I also trade for a couple more emeralds with the Fletcher, mine some stone, and then trade it. And I then head back into the nether. And this time I can insta-mine netherrack with my iron pickaxe, which is super nice. I break into this Basalt Valley, Soul Sand Valley and Basalt Delta biome. So I come out and decide to bridge across this lava using bedrock bridging, which is something I love about this version of the game. I dig into this warped forest biome and I get attacked by a piglin brute out of nowhere. Now these can't spawn anywhere in normal vanilla, but they spawn randomly in REALISMCRAFT, which is kinda interesting. Now if I hit the piglin brute, the other piglins nearby with like crossbows and stuff will get angry. I mean, I don't want to be dealing with that. So I used the big brain move of gathering some lava and pouring it on the piglin brute. This way the piglins won't get aggro to me and the piglin brute will be gone. Once I'm done taking care of the piglin brute, I find out that there's a bastion nearby. And I am nowhere near ready to take on a bastion in hardcore mode. Even if this was like peaceful mode, I'd still be scared. I quickly head over to it and start inspecting it, but I know I'm not ready to take on this thing right now. So I head away from it. There are a couple of nether storms that occasionally happen, and they lag my game like super bad. So I often dig into a wall and wait until they're over. Find this beetle walking around, which is pretty cool. I start mining some quartz, which is when a creeper attacks me in the nether. It looks pretty cool, but that's not the point. Creepers aren't supposed to be in the nether. I start going away from the warp forest, and I find this nether waste biome, which has so much quartz for me to mine. I'm mining quartz because I can get XP, and I can trade the quartz to get some emeralds and more XP. So quartz is a super valuable thing right now for me. I also find this mini ghast that shoots fireballs and is also annoyingly fast. It's impossible to aim at this thing, and I eventually get it, but this is not the last time I'll be seeing one of these things. I also grab some nether gold while I'm in the nether, and I find another nether waste biome. I also start to trade to some piglins, and I smelt up my nether gold to trade with them. At the end of my trading session, I'm left with 2 pearls, which is extremely sad. I traded like a stack and a half of gold for it, but while mining more quartz, I'm minding my business when this magma cube attacks me, and I almost die from it. This just shows how dangerous the nether is. I run away for a bit and I use a golden apple, but even still, they still overwhelm me right now. Even the small ones do damage, unlike slimes. So I had to pillar up and start taking them out one by one when they hopped on towards me. Thankfully, I quickly take them out and continue on my way. When I kill a skeleton, it drops its enchanted bow, which has power 300, which is super useful. So then make a quick stop to make an anvil, cause my armor's pretty much gonna break in a couple more hits. I use a couple of pieces of iron to repair my helmet and my chest plate. And I also smelt up some nether gold to use to repair my leggings. Thankfully, my journey's at an end because I find a nether fortress nearby. This is the first structure I've found looking through the nether, and they're supposed to be custom ones. I then try to clear out all the mobs, and there's so many, even though it's not even in a soul sand valley. The wither skeletons look super cool, and I also learned that blazes don't attack you in REALISMCRAFT. I'm pretty sure it's just a bug with their AI or their like animation or whatever. And I farmed some of the blazes for a while until I got enough for potions and the Eyes of Ender. And then I leave. Once I got back into the overworld, I started to trade all the quartz I gathered in the nether for some emeralds and XP. Once I woke up, I saw that there was a rainbow outside, and it was the second one so far, so it was pretty cool. I placed down all the quartz I gathered with my silk touch pickaxe and mined it all up for some more XP and some more quartz I could sell to the masons. I also unfortunately had to use some of my hard-earned emeralds to trade for some random blocks for more XP. And once I got level 30, I enchanted an iron pickaxe and got Unbreaking 3 and Efficiency 4. And I put Mending on it as well as Fortune 3. I then headed down into this cave and started mining. I was looking for diamonds, but this cave didn't go down that deep and it was pretty small, so I had to head back up pretty quickly. I then started going through this forest to look for some other new caves. I didn't find any, but I guess the forest looked pretty cool. I did find a ruined quarter, however, which had 2 gold blocks and some more gold in the chest. After finding the portal, I quickly headed back home. And I decided to make a strip mine. I started from where I'd been mining stone, and I headed all the way down to deep slate level. And for a long time I was not finding anything. And I was digging for a super long time and I was getting a little bit demotivated. But I didn't have strong enough armor to go caving in my opinion, and yeah, I was not going to take any risks. Eventually I did find one singular diamond, and my fortune 3 didn't help at all this time. So I had to make a few furnaces and smelt all the ores I gathered so far for some XP to repair my pickaxe. All I was finding in my strip mine was redstone and gold. Because of that, I logged out for the night. The next day when I logged back on, I found a 4 vein of diamonds almost immediately. And my luck continued, because a little bit later, I found another pretty large vein of diamonds. And a little bit later, I found another vein of diamonds. Guys, I'm telling you guys, I'm not using X-ray, I promise. Anyway, I headed back home after I had in all of my diamonds. I ended up with a pretty good amount, almost 40 I think, with my fortune 3, and you guys can see how long I've been mining for. But anyway, I came back home and I started smelting all of my ores up. I made almost full diamond except for boots because I already had them. And I headed back into the nether because I wanted to get some more XP, and I thought that mining quartz while searching for ancient debris was the best way to be efficient. While mining quartz, I accidentally found a piece of ancient debris and I marked it down to come back for later because I forgot to bring my diamond pickaxe. I started to realize that the amount of XP I was getting was barely enough to repair my pickaxe, let alone get level 30, so I just traded up all my quartz. I then made a new diamond pickaxe and an axe. And after that, I got a little too close to the skeleton horse, which I didn't even notice was there. I was just kind of mindlessly walking there, and yeah, that scared the hell out of me. Anyways, I had to take care of them quickly because they were attacking my villagers. I didn't even know skeletons could do that. They also had enchanted bows and stuff, so I had to take care of these guys pretty quickly. I didn't want to hit the skeleton horses because they are super rare. And yeah, this is one of the rarest occurrences in Minecraft. So I really wanted to keep like at least something to remind me of them. Anyways, I took out all the skeletons and gathered up all the loot. They dropped a couple of enchanted items, and like some bows and 2 helmets. And there weren't really anything special, but I did get an aqua affinity helmet, which would be super helpful for mining some clay in the lake. I repaired it up with a single piece of iron, and I decided to go out and get some clay. I spent all of day 49 getting clay, and here's a quick little montage of that. I also spent the rest of day 50 getting clay as well, and I ended up with a pretty good amount, as you can see in my inventory. I headed back halfway through the day because it was raining and my inventory was full. After trading, I slept, and then realized that zombies had spawned inside my village, which I don't even know how this happened. And because they were burning, I had to like quickly put them out with some water, and it wasn't working. I really didn't want my villagers to die. It was unfortunate, but eventually this dude died. I tried my best to protect him, but sometimes we don't get what we want. Anyways, after that sad incident, I headed back to the lake to gather some more clay. On day 52, I realized that I had enough clay, so I headed back home and traded it all. At this point, I had enough XP for a level 30 enchant, and I wasted it on an unbreaking 3 pickaxe. So I had to once again use all my emeralds for more XP. I got level 30 again, and I enchanted a diamond helmet and got protection 4 and unbreaking 3. Once again, I headed back to the lake and gathered some more clay, and this time I found another trident zone. And he dropped a trident. Getting 1 trident is already impressive enough, but 2 in a lake and not even an ocean is kind of wild. I spent the rest of the day gathering some more clay, and yeah, it was kind of a chill day. I ended up with like 10 stacks or so. I headed back home just in time for the night, and I slept. The next day, I traded my clay once again. I decided to gather some sugarcane. Because I was so close to level 30, I decided to go out hunting that day. And I got almost half a level. The next day, I traded after my villagers restocked, and once again I used some emeralds. finally, I made some more bookshelves and added them to my setup. I enchanted a diamond sword and I got Unbreaking 3. I was super mad that I had to keep traveling back and forth from the lake and to my house, so I brought my donkey this time, so that we could hold double the amount of clay. Filled up my donkey's chest and went back out there. After collecting another almost inventory full, I decided to head back home. And while tying up my donkey, I thought I had my lead in the 6th slot, but it turned out I had my notch apple. And yeah, I fed a notch apple to a donkey. I just kind of stood there for a while, but mistakes happen. I guess a notch apple is worth like 20 stacks of clay, I guess. Who knows? Maybe it actually is. But I got enough XP to enchant a diamond piece, and I got protection 4 on my leggings. And now this meant that I was pretty much full protection 4 diamond. Except for my chestplate boots, which had protection 3. But who cares? I then put mending and all of my diamond pieces, as well as the gold sword. Kind of crazy when you think about it, because I've had that gold sword since day 1 and it's like day 55 right now. Once I put on my new armor, I headed onto the forest and got a little bit of work. And that looks so cool, by the way, with this trident and the diamond armor. It's just like such a fit, you know. I headed out exploring that day. But I found this random cave in the side of a mountain. And it was huge. I decided to go in there because now I was much more confident in my caving abilities. I speed ran through the cave and there were so many monsters, which was to be expected because it's Bedrock edition, and whenever there's a dark spot, there's always a zombie. I gathered so much coal with my Fortune 3 pickaxe, and in the process I repaired like all my tools. I ended up with 45 blocks of coal, which is crazy. I also found another ruin which had some apples and a bunch of other miscellaneous items. For some reason the spawners in these just never work, but I'm not complaining, honestly. I found this large water expanse and I sailed across it, and I found a swamp nearby. There was this like huge tree thingy in the swamp, and inside there was a ton of witches, and these are my least favorite mob in Minecraft, but luckily I had good armor and I was able to take them out pretty quickly. Inside the chest there's some potion ingredient loot, and in the cauldron there's like a poison potion, which is a cool feature of Bedrock edition. You can put potions in cauldrons. In the chest on the outside I found 3 golden apples, which is some really good loot. I checked around the outside of it and then I left. I found another one of them, and this time I decided not to deal with the witches and just get a chest on the outside. I blocked up all the doors because I didn't really know if the witches could open the doors or not. And this time I found blaze powder and gas tears in the outside chest. And that's some pretty good loot if you ask me. After a quick nap, I continued on my journey through the swamp. And it looks pretty cool in my opinion. The fog and like the ambience is just really good in the swamp. After a little bit more exploring, I found 2 of these witch structures side by side, as well as a witch hut in the distance. So I decided to go check them out. Once again, I blocked up all the doors and then just got the chest on the outside. This chest didn't really have anything useful. This time it once again had some blaze powder and a gas tier, and I guess that's some pretty worthwhile loot. I then headed over to the witch hut, and I took the witch out from a safe distance, thankfully. The witch dropped redstone, and in the cauldron it looked like there was some like weakness potion in it. So, but unfortunately I didn't have bottles, so I kept moving. In my next witch structure, I found a phantom membrane, which I thought was pretty cool. I never usually get these in survival Minecraft, so it's pretty cool. I leave the swamp and eventually I find a pirate ship. And this time I was ready for it, because I knew exactly where the spawners were. And I cleared both of them out before even a single pillager could spawn. And the loot in all of these was like pretty bad. I don't even know why I came on here, but the hay bales were kind of worth it. I made all the wood I gathered into crafting tables and gathered the skulls in the captain's room, and then left. After some more exploring, I found a village, and once again I grabbed all the hay bales. A little bit away from the village, I found another one of these warped ruin portals, and it had some pretty decent loot. I decided to tame a horse because now I had a saddle, and after a little bit of trial and error, I eventually got it to love me. I forgot to put the saddle on it, and I was like thinking, why isn't this horse like working? But I eventually figured it out. There's this ruined portal right next to where I tamed this horse, so I went over to check it out. Inside the chest there's another golden apple and this god golden axe, bro. A little bit away there was a pillager, like a custom pillager outpost, which I quickly ran over to. Although this structure was pretty cool, I think it should have had some more loot. Cause there's like nothing inside of it. There was a spawner at the top and a couple of pillagers, but they were no match for my armor and my tools at this point. Inside the chest there's some mid loot, nothing special. I continued on my journey, and right next to the outpost was a ruined portal. This time it was a regular one. I took a quick nap and I went over to check it out. and the loot was kind of mid. I found this village on top of this hill, and it had a blacksmith. And again, the loot was kind of mid. I don't know, man. I think my loot luck is just kind of bad at this point. But the amount of structures I was finding is crazy. I found this village, and I saw 3 structures in the distance. So I quickly headed down the hill. And I also looted this house at the bottom, which had nothing of use for me. So I headed to the custom ruin portal. There's once again a Zoglin guarding it, but I had a bow, so I quickly took it out. There wasn't even a portal in this ruin portal, but there was at least a gold block, which made it kind of worth it. Hopped back on my horse and went over to this regular ruin portal, which just had some enchanted golden armor and stuff. And then went over to this wandering trader camp. I knew it had some pretty horrible loot, so I just took the leads and left. Found another ruin portal, which had nothing of too crazy, and I found this really cool looking pillager outpost. I also found a god golden shovel in a ruined portal chest. And while exploring, I found a jungle, and it had a mine shaft nearby. This is probably like the most dangerous structure in the custom structure in the overworld, because it has dripstone and TNT traps. But this mine shaft connected to a regular mine shaft, and it was huge, like the cave it was in. Oh my god. I collected the diamonds at the bottom of the mine shaft, and as well as the iron. And I started looking around the mine shaft. This cave is massive, like you can't even see the other end of it. I found like this minecart chest, and it just had a little bit of iron and some gold berries and torches. Nothing much. But the next minecart chest had 3 diamonds and a golden apple. Now that's what I'm talking about. The cave, I was trying to look for some diamonds, trying to see if I could see any, but I couldn't see any, so I headed straight back up. I picked my horse back up, and I started going through the jungle, and I found this mangrove swamp. The ambience in REALISMCRAFT is incredible. I love how there's a different feel to every biome. I then found a mesa and this cave which had a ton of gold just lying around. So I hopped in it and started gathering it up with my Fortune 3 pickaxe. After gathering up all of the gold, I left the mesa and I started heading back home. Eventually I made it back and I started smelting all the gold and stuff and other ores I'd gotten. I also started organizing all the loot, and it took quite a lot of time since I had like 4 full bundles of stuff. I also had an Unbreaking 3 on my Silk Touch, a diamond pickaxe. Anyways, I spent a full day organizing my stuff, and I went back out exploring again. This time I was looking for something special. I was looking for a deep dark biome. Because I was looking for a deep dark biome, I started heading to the mesas because that's where I knew there were a lot of mountains. Started digging straight down and I landed in a cave. Now the reason I'm looking for deep dark biomes is because I want to get a ton of XP, and in my experience deep dark biomes are the best way to get XP. Anyways, this cave, it was pretty big. There's actually a little bit of deep dark, but not much. I made a diamond hole to mine up all the skulk. And I ended up with approximately like 15 levels. And while mining all the skulk, I even found a vein of diamonds, which is always an added bonus. Mined everything up and started digging straight up. I mined into an ocean. And I saw a pirate ship in the distance, but it's never worth going to it. I found a Badlands mine shaft, so I headed into it and I started digging straight down once again. I started searching for a cave, and I realized I mined back into the exact one I was at. But this time I realized that there's an entire section of the cave I didn't see before, and it turns out that I had a ton of diamonds, as well as a deep dark biome. This one was much bigger. I set out to get all of the XP, and I was getting really close to level 30. But that little pocket of skulk ran out, so I had to go find some more. And thankfully I did. I actually found 2 more pockets of skulk, and I started mining them up again. My diamond hole broke, so I had to make a new one, but there was no shortage of diamonds here. After getting a good 36 levels, which is enough for 3 level 30 enchants, I left the caves. And this time, I dug up right next to the pirate ship. Headed back home. I then smelted up all of the random ores I got, mainly gold. And I got Unbreaking 3 on my diamond axe, as well as Smite 4 and Looting 3 on a new diamond sword. I made another diamond sword and got Fire Aspect 2 on it, as well as Unbreaking 3. I combined both of the swords and had a quick little nap. I also put mending on a protection 3 helmet I got, and I went into the nether. I thought that the bastion I saw earlier might have been like a housing bastion and might have some nether wood. But it turns out to be, I think, a stables bastion. Or I don't know, maybe a bridge. I don't really know bastion terminology. But there was a ton of gold stacked up at like this cave entrance spot. I grabbed up all the gold and started looting the structure. I found a lodestone, a block of iron, some gaps, some obsidian. Nothing too useful. I went into the main loot room and found some Soul Speed 3 books, as well as a netherite upgrade template. I then wanted to get some of this gold, but then a piglin brute attacked me, and I also fell into lava. So I was pretty panicked at this point, and when you panic, you start doing some really weird stuff that you wouldn't normally do. So I had to start chugging all these gaps, and wasted a lot of my armor durability. So I headed out to grab some quartz and repair it. I really didn't want my mending gold helmet to break. Eventually I came back and got my revenge on the piglin brute. And there wasn't much in the bastion, so I headed back out. And then this happened. I fell into the lava and I thought I was cooked at this point. I knew my armor was good, but I wasn't wearing my protection 4 diamond helmet. I was wearing a gold one, and it was gonna break really fast. I started panicking, and I even shot an arrow. I wanted to dig down and block up, but that wasn't working, so I had to go back up again. And lava is super slow to move in, so I was really panicking at this point. Thankfully, I did have a good amount of gaps, and that's what saved me throughout this whole encounter. Also, gas started shooting at me. But thankfully I made it out alive, but not before getting down to 2 hearts. I also tried shooting at the gas, but my aim was abysmal, and I missed pretty much every shot I took. My armor was pretty much halfway broken, so I had to head back home. When I came back home, it was nighttime, so I had to sleep pretty quickly. I then gathered up all my clay and then started trading it to repair my armor. If villagers didn't give XP when they traded, I think I would have been cooked in this 100 days. I turned all of my gold into golden apples, because I realized just how useful they can be and how they can save me. I then put mending on Unbreaking 3 and Protection 4 leggings this time, because I really wanted Unbreaking 3 on gold armor. I didn't want another gold armor piece that I put mending on breaking. So I repaired my armor and then headed back out to the nether. I actually found another nether fortress this time, so I headed out to check it out. And the blazes look so cool. I think these are special like soul sand blazes, but damn, whoever made these needs like a raise, bro. Like, those are the coolest mob in Minecraft I've ever seen, period. Now that I had looting and smite, I was trying to get some wither skulls as well now that I'm in the nether fortress. And also, cause this is a soul sand nether fortress, a lot of mobs spawn here, so it's gonna be a lot easier than the other nether fortress I originally found. It also turns out that there is a custom wither skeleton structure right next to the fortress, so I quickly checked it out. I pillared up to get this chest because I didn't want a piglin to attack me. Well, it just turns out that the other dude was a zombified piglin. The loot was pretty damn good in this chest. It even had diamond boots. And in the second chest, there was a netherite chestplate, enchanted diamond helmet with mending on it, netherite scrap, gold, blaze powder. Oh my god, I pretty much got like 3/4 diamond armor from this structure, bro. Like, the loot is actually insane. Anyways, I headed back out to get some more skulls. And I found that wither skeletons could ride these nightmare horses. And let me tell you, that looks pretty cool. I've actually got my first skull, which was pretty nice. The only annoying part about this whole grinding for skulls thing were the skeletons. Because of the Soul Sand Valley, so many of them would spawn, but it didn't really matter because I had looting 3 and I was getting my skulls pretty quickly. I got my second skull and then I dropped down into this madhouse. There were like 20 mobs all in the same corner. And wither skeletons are pretty powerful, so I had to use a gap after that. After clearing them out, I took down a few more wither skeletons before I eventually got another skull. After getting these 3 skulls, I quickly headed back home. And this time I made sure not to fall in any lava. It was raining when I came back, as well as nighttime, so I had to sleep once again. I then turned my power 3 bow into a power 4, with one of the bows a skeleton dropped before. And I headed back into the nether to grab some ancient debris. And the first vein I found originally was actually a 3 vein, which was pretty nice. The next two veins were 1 veins, but didn't really matter. I also went back to that one piece I accidentally found while mining for quartz. And I decided to keep exploring. While I was looking over this edge, a skeleton shot me down, and it turned out to be the best thing that ever could have happened. Because I found this new nether structure. It was floating in the air and it looked really cool, so I pillared up and started to loot it. Once again, there were some soul sand blazes, as well as another annoying gas, but I quickly took care of them both. Also, this blaze right here, he's a chill homie, you know? But just in case, I had to take him off. The loot was pretty good, but once I went to the top, there was a magma cube spawner, and after taking it and the magma cubes out, I checked the loot, and boy oh boy, it was some real good loot. I needed pearls, and this was perfect. And not only was there pearls and gold, there was also a notch apple. This made up the one I lost to my donkey, and I was super happy, because I would probably need it for the wither fight. The next chest also had some really good loot, and these nether structures, bro, like, they're on another level. I also found this like mine shaft structure, which was floating above ground, which is super innovative and creative. There's also a creeper spawner, another creeper spawner to be exact, as well as white hoggle defending this place. After taking them out, I got snuck up on by this creeper. After taking him out, I checked the loot, and it was pretty decent. I headed up to the top and I saw like a pile of TNT with some gold. And I decided to check it out, and it had some ancient debris in the middle, which was exactly what I was looking for. It even had 2 pieces, not just one. But the next chest I went to, a creeper blew it up, which was super unfortunate. I also found another pile of gold, but this time it didn't have any ancient debris in it, unfortunately. I went down to collect the loot, and once again it was pretty good. While running away from mobs attacking me there, I found another custom structure, which was one of those wither skeleton graveyards. And I found another notch apple, as well as some more diamond boots. And when I turned the corner, I found another castle thingy. I once again towered up and broke one of the spawners. At the top, there's some more good loot, like a netherite helmet. We always take any netherite gear, as you know. And some more gold and a pearl. In the next chest, there were some more pearls as well as a new diamond pickaxe. The loot in these structures is absolutely immaculate. It also turns out that there was a 3rd chest, and I headed towards it to check it out. After a little bit of parkour, there's also a soul blaze guarding it, but I took him out. And inside there were 2 notch apples, which is crazy. 2 notch apples in a nether structure? Damn. This is how you know I'm not lying when I say the nether loot is immaculate, bro. Found another one of these nether structure castle thingies. And I found some netherite scrap. We always like that. As well as some more gold and stuff. The amount of diamond gear I'm getting is crazy. In the next chest, there was an Unbreaking 3 diamond sword and a gas tier, but nothing too special. In the final 3rd chest, there was nothing of use for me. It's kind of a letdown, honestly. But I got 4 notch apples, bro. That's crazy. And right next to that castle was a bastion. I don't really think it was worth going there, because these nether structures have way better loot, and they're also like super easy to loot in comparison to a bastion as well. I headed over to the bastion and started checking it out, and the loot was okay. I mean, I did find another piece of netherite scrap, which I always appreciate, but it wasn't anything too special. I was mainly here for the nether wart, but I did find an efficiency 4 pick and an armor trim, so I'm not really complaining. But really though, I really need some nether wart, man. I've been exploring for like 20 days in the nether and I still haven't found it. But I headed back home after getting all this loot because my inventory was full and I was kind of tired of being in the nether all the time. And yeah, I organized all my chests. And after organizing everything, I made some more netherite upgrade templates with a ton of diamonds. And I also traded some more quartz to my villagers, as well as some more clay. And I once again had to use some of my hard-earned emeralds for XP, because I wanted to enchant my netherite armor I just gathered. I also had to grindstone a ton of my golden tools I've been gathering, and I was able to afford a protection 4 chestplate. After some more grindstoning and selling some stone to my masons, I was able to afford protection 4 helmet. I then turned the rest of my armor into netherite, as well as my sword, and now I had full netherite armor and a sword. And with my new like eye blossom cape, I look decked out, bro. I also made 34 gapples, just a casual amount, you know. And then I also made some more snout smithing templates. I then used all the templates on my armor. Now I was truly decked out. Like using diamonds just for decoration, that's when you know you're actually rich, bro. I also put mending on all my new netherite armor as well. Now I actually wanted to do a raid, because in my opinion raids are the funnest thing you can do in Minecraft. So I boarded up all my villagers and I drank a Bad Omen bottle. After drinking it, I waited a little bit for the raid omen to go away and for a raid to start. And the first few waves were pretty easy. I just picked them off with my bow. But the next few waves, they were pretty easy as well, but the pillagers kept hiding and it took a really long time to find them. The Ravagers also look super cool. I'll show you a close-up in a sec. But the pillagers, bro, they run so fast and like hide in the most random spots. Also, my iron golem friend who's been with me since day one unfortunately died. And just for that, I'm gonna take revenge on all of these pillagers. Thankfully, none of my villagers were getting harmed. And here's a close-up of what a Ravager looks like. They look terrifying, bro. Look at those teeth. They don't even have eyes. Like, and that roar, bro. Damn. They really cooked with the Ravagers. Anyways, I took out the last few Vindicators, and then the raid was over. I was victorious and I avenged my Iron Golem buddy. And I also got a lot of loot. Here's what I finally ended up with. I got 4 totems and another Bad Omen bottle. I then headed into the Nether to get some Ender Pearls. And I was taking a lot of damage because I had Fire Aspect on my sword. And yeah, when you combine Fire Aspect with Bedrock on Enderman, it's a recipe for disaster. And also the pearl drops were really low. In the clips I'm showing you, I'm getting like at least some drops, but it takes like 8 or 10 Endermen to like just get some drops, some Ender Pearls, even with looting 3. I even had to use some golden apples even though I was in full protection armor. I know I have gold leggings, but still, these Endermen, they really do hit hard. After clearing out my inventory, I headed back home and made some Eyes of Ender and made some Ender chests. I also made all the Eyes of Ender I need to find the stronghold, and I put everything in my Ender chest for now. I then went a little bit away from my house and I found this really nice area for a Wither fight. Finally was ready for the hardest boss in both versions of the game, the Bedrock Edition Wither. I placed down the 3 Wither skulls and I waited for him to charge up. He immediately started attacking me, and sure, he looked fancy, but he was no match for me and my powerful bow. He was zigzagging a lot, and I didn't really have that many arrows, so I was being careful with my shots. At this point, I'm not going to really add a commentary here because it's kind of self-explanatory. I'll let you guys enjoy this footage in peace. And it gets crazy towards the end, so keep watching. Once this Wither gets down to half health, he disappears. and he makes this huge crater as well. I'm not really sure what's going on, and I hear him like everywhere, but I decide to go underground to see what's going on. It turns out that this dude is like a mining god, bro. So anyway, I decide that I need to finish him right here, right now, or he's trapped and he can't escape. So I pull out my Smite 4 sword and I start attacking with all my might. He's digging away like such a huge area that it's lagging my game with all those entities. But eventually I managed to take him out. I had to ender pearl away so that the explosion at the end doesn't kill me. And even though I'm like 20 blocks away, the explosion still does a little bit of damage. So eventually I'm rewarded with the Nether Star. I ender pearl out of the giant hole he made, and I walk out victorious and with a new Nether Star. I then make a beacon and use my iron blocks to make a little stand for it. I then use a diamond to activate it, and for the primary power I choose to have speed because it's the most useful around my house. I then put everything I will need for the Ender Dragon fight in my Ender chest, and I gather some flint and feathers to make some more arrows because I'm running really low on them. I make 68 arrows with everything I've gathered, and I'm happy with that amount. So I throw my first Ender Eye and start following it to the stronghold. And in Bedrock Edition, if you want to find the stronghold, you just look for a village in the path of the eye. So that's exactly what I did. And eventually I did find a village, so I tied up my horse and I started digging straight down. And the luckiest thing that I ever could have asked for happened. I was able to actually dig into the portal room, which almost never happens to me. I had to be like the luckiest dude ever. Like, the amount of things that happened in this video is actually crazy. I quickly block up the entrance to the portal room. I take out this little silverfish and I start placing down all the eyes. The animation for when you place these eyes in the portal is super cool, and they really cooked on that, as well as the aura that filters in through the portal once you activate it. I head in through the portal, and now I'm in the end. I'm about to complete the final chapter of this journey, the Ender Dragon. I start by first taking out the crystals, and I'll stop my commentary right now because this part is pretty self-explanatory. Also, I know I just said I stopped the commentary, but look how cool the dragon looks. They cooked on like a lot of stuff here. Anyways, I'll stop right now. Finally, at long last, I land the last few hits on the dragon and I defeat it. I've achieved my goal, and I block up the end portal so that no XP falls through it. As I'm gathering the XP, I accidentally fall through the portal, which is like the dumbest thing I ever could have done, but it's fine, I don't really need the XP anyway. I spawned back at the place I spawned on day 1, and I take a nap. I want to build a house. And I want to use one of the custom blocks in REALISMCRAFT. So I go through the crafting menu, and I want to use those cool blocks I found in the nether, in the nether structures. And to find out they're called soul blackstone. Anyways, I clear out a little plot of land for where my house is gonna be. And here's a montage of me building my new house. after finishing up my house, I start moving all my chests over. And this takes a couple of days, since I also make sure to organize everything. After organizing everything, I also make a few armor stands so that I can display some of the items I've gathered along my journey. I also gather my bed, which is outside, and place it inside my house. I realized that spawning inside a wither skeleton skull every day in the morning is not what I want to do, so I had to move it over. I also add some diamond boots and a sword and a pickaxe to the armor stands. I also changed the way the armor stand looks, which is actually not a modded part. You can actually do this in vanilla Bedrock edition. It's one of the coolest parts of the game. Anyways, after adjusting the armor stand, I also bring over all my furnaces and workstation blocks over to my new house. And before I do that, I also free all of the villagers from the deep slate holes I put them in. I decide to free every single one, and while I'm freeing my efficiency 5 librarian, I find out that he's been zombified, and unfortunately I had to put him out of his misery. I also clear and improve my village pathway, and I move everything over to my new house. I also make some doors and finally complete my house. I also decide that my mine entrance looks really ugly, which is made out of like a mixture of cobblestone, wood, and dirt. So I decide to improve it with a new look. Once again, here's a little montage of me doing that. I finally add the finishing touches to my new mine entrance, and I also clear up some of the paths around the village. I like doing this because it's really satisfying, and it's day 99. I never thought I'd see this day, but this will be my last app in this world. What a journey we've been through so far. I wake up on day 100. I have something special planned in mind for day 100. I make a few firework stars, and I make a few firework rockets as well. I use lapis because blue is my favorite color. And yeah, we've made it to 100 days, guys. I really want to thank you guys for watching all throughout these 100 days. It really means a lot to me. And please make sure you're subscribed. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.